In the last video I made, we did a memory upgrade in the Apple IIGS, and it was in that video that I showed how the built-in menu works and what kind of settings you can change, such as display color settings, system sound settings, clock speed, clock date and time, options, etc. RAM disk settings. You can actually change the volume right from here. Pretty cool. Anyway, in order to retain these settings, the Apple IIGS must have a clock battery, and it was at that moment that I realized that it does in fact have one. I never knew this, and I am embarrassed to say so. I am embarrassed to say that I never knew the IIGS not only had that setup menu, but also has a clock battery. It's something that someone like me just should automatically know. After all, I'm old enough to have used one of these when they were new. Just barely. But anyway, something learned, I guess. So in this video, we're going to go over the steps needed to replace that clock battery that we discovered exists a couple days ago. And I want to talk about I want to talk about this for a second. There are options for clock battery replacements on these, and they're not very good. Most of the options are not very good at all. I went on eBay just to see what I could find. So you have a few options for battery replacements, and most of them aren't very good. There's a couple of instructables on the web that show you how to convert a 3.6 volt Tataran battery like you would find in an older model Macintosh, like a G3 or a G4 or even the Classic 2. This battery has been used by Apple for nearly a decade or more. Decade and a half, actually. And no, it spans back even longer. Actually, Apple used this battery for nearly 20 years. They used this particular battery in a battery holder on the logic board as far back as I believe the original Mac 2. And they discontinued these batteries after the eMac was discontinued. That's when they stopped using them. Now, this one video I found shows that you can add leads to one of these batteries and attach it to the existing leads. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to open the case here. The other option isn't a very good one at all. As a purist, I think it is the dumbest thing ever. But it's doable, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. It depends on how real to the original system you want to be. But one of the other options is to add a battery box, or a 3 AA battery box. And you could mount it to the side of the power supply or what have you. It's a valid option, but what it does is it replaces that sealed, permanently installed battery with 3 AA batteries that you can replace at any time. The problem I have with that is it's not original to the system. It doesn't belong there. And it's also going from a 3.6 volt battery up to 4.5 volts. So you're increasing it by an entire volt. I don't like doing that. Factory spec is 3.6, not 4.5. So I have issues with that. It's also just ugly. So the option that is slightly less upsetting is to simply snip the leads off the battery here and here. And that will allow you to remove the original battery and actually solder these leads to an easily attainable 3.6 volt Tataran sealed battery. And I don't like that because you have to put a soldering iron to a battery. And that's something you just don't want to do. You shouldn't do that. It's not a good thing. It's not something that just don't. I mean, I do it myself for certain things. Now, I will do hack-like or less than perfect battery replacements for some systems that don't have any value. For example, my Tandy 486, I made my own clock battery. I did the same thing for the IBM PS2 Model 30. I just took some coin cells, I modified them, soldered leads to them, and I made them fit the original connector. But the Apple IIGS is a special kind of system here. This machine actually has value. People are paying good money for these things. They're rapidly increasing in value. So I don't want to do something that is untrue to the original design. So I went over to New Arc Electronics and I found a battery. Now, wait till you see. Imagine this battery shipped in this box. And now I wonder why I paid so much for shipping. That's what should be in this box. I haven't opened it yet. We're going to see in a minute. What do we got here? This is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. No, they really did. They seriously did that. Are you fucking kidding me? This little battery. Are you out of your mind? Okay. This is the correct battery for this machine. They're not hard to they're hard to find. I actually had to do some soul searching to find this, but I found it. Okay. Now let's take a look at when this battery is manufactured. The original one was manufactured February 10th. I'm looking at it upside down. 1987. This battery was made in September of 2015. So they're not a... I guess my point is these aren't exactly a top seller, but this is the original battery. This is what the battery looks like today. You can see it's the correct size. And we're going to put a multimeter to it just to make sure it's not a lemon. They're good for about 5 years. So every 5 years you're going to want to replace this battery, give or take. Alright, 3.656. And the original one, while it's hooked up in the circuit, what are we getting? We're getting absolutely nothing. 0.0 volts. She's dead, Jim. Okay, what's the first thing you want to do? The first thing you want to do is identify where the positive side is. Clearly marked on the board. There is no plus sign. It's probably under. No, it's not under the battery. It isn't marked. Although it kind of is. There's a positive sign right there. Oh, I might have been looking there. There we go. I'm going to look at the camera here. There's a positive sign right there, so we know it's marked. Good enough. B1. What do you think B stands for? Take a guess. All right. We're going to remove the memory card. Now, I'm deliberately using some very basic tools that I have at home to do this. I have better tools at work. I could do this with a very nice soldering station, but I want to do this to prove a point. I want to prove that anyone can do this in their home if they hope and pray and yeah. But we need to do a couple of things. We need to remove this cover here, and I don't remember how to do that. Let's take a look underneath. Actually, no, I may not have to remove that. No, I most certainly do. Now, here we go. So underneath the Apple II, there's going to be 1, 2, 3 clips, and those you can release with a flat blade screwdriver apart in the correct direction, just like that. Okay, almost there. All right. So basically, what we've done is we've actually pushed these tabs away from their lock position gently while pulling this away from the machine's base. Okay, this comes off like that. It's a little more work than some of the lazy solutions that I found, but it's doable. Unplug the speaker and remove the logic board. That's actually quite easy to do. It's held in by clips here and here and here. Only put enough tension on these just to pull it away. Just enough. Just enough. Don't break them, because if you do, you're going to get mad. I know I will if they break. They're located in a lot of locations. There's a lot of these. And the board will flex. It's okay. This is all surface mount stuff. These boards are surprisingly durable. Famous last words. This one's not cooperating. I've had this board out before when I did the Ultra Bright thing. Retro Bright. Did I say Ultra Bright? I meant Retro Bright. I am sorry. Been a long day. A phone. There we go. Got it out. So once you've released the board from its clasp, just lift it out gently. To the side. We're going to get this out of our way. Okay. Next, we need to desolder the old battery. Now, I prefer to use I'm going to use some soldering flux, and I'm going to use some soldering wick. Desoldering wick. This stuff right here. Okay, I'm going to I don't want to dig out the tripod because it's too much work. I'm going to go ahead and put the camera right here precariously. No, I don't like that either. I'm going to get the damn tripod. Okay, I hate tripods with an all-consuming passion. I'll talk about it at some point. Alright, what we need to do, let's get our solder, oh there it is, it's underneath the power supply. Here's our soldering iron. I bought this during Radio Shack's We're Going Out of Business, Just Kidding sale. I paid too much for it, but it's a nice soldering iron. I rarely get to use it. I bought it for the house. I've got some real nice ones at work, so I bought this one for the house. I'm like, you can never have too many of these things. But this one's got a really nice, comfortable grip on it. It's a low wattage iron. I think it's only 20 watts, 25 watts. So it's a low wattage iron. Good for board work. Very light board work, actually. It's probably not good for desoldering, but that's what I got. I got a 40 watt, but the tip is so far gone, and I can't get a replacement for it. It's a little mini workstation that I bought from Radio Shack many years ago, and the tip is just destroyed. Too many, I don't know what I could call it, too many soldering jobs that weren't kosher, to say the least. But this little soldering kit, it came with a nice little stand. Slightly warming up. Yeah, it's getting hot. I'm going to let it warm up for a little bit. But we're going to mark off where the soldering, or where the terminals are for the battery. They're going to be on this side of the board right here. I'm going to make sure we identify them correctly. They are actually buried in there, so we want to make sure, double sure, that we get them right. So we're going to just take a look at the board from the side here. We're going to mark off where they are. I'm going to just triangulate them with a couple of different marks. See if that shows up. You can see the little blue marks I put there? Just kind of narrow it down. And the other one is pretty isolated. So I put a plus sign right there. See? Okay. That way we can actually see where we're soldering. This iron's getting kind of warm. Let's test it out. I'm going to get some... By the way, when you do put in the new battery, you want to use leaded solder. This stuff is the best. Ooh, nice and hot. Okay. I'm going to take some soldering flux. Actually, no, let's try doing it without the flux first. The flux, what it really does is it really helps to disperse the heat a little better. If you want to learn how to solder, watch Louis Rossman's videos. He's damn good. He does it professionally, and he does a lot more of it than I ever do. I only solder things occasionally, and it's always through-hole stuff. But we're going to just put the tip over the braid, and the braid over the joint. And it's already come loose. That was easy. This iron works really well, and with a tip like this one, it really transfers the heat nicely. You don't want one of those wimpy tips that doesn't really work that well. Okay, now the other lead. Battery is ready to come out. Just desolder it real nicely. It already popped out. Hear that? Now once I get the battery loose, I'm going to apply a little bit of heat just to wiggle it free a little nicely. There we go. Just going to pull the battery down as we're applying heat. I'm glad I bought this iron. This thing is nice. Real good heat transfer. Okay, we got that lead out. Now we're going to do the other one. Then we're going to clean the holes up with the desoldering braid. And you don't want to apply too much heat to the board. You're going to burn the damn thing. Come on now. Come on, come on. There we go. Almost there. I'm talking to my board. There we go. Okay. That is how you remove the old battery. Now you can see this battery did not leak. If this battery had leaked, it would destroy the board. Battery leakage was very common on some of the lower quality 386 boards that I've worked on over the years. And we're going to just cut off the used portion of our solder braid. We don't need it anymore. Some of the older 386 and 486 boards had Varta batteries, and they were just stacked coin cells with a shrink tube around them, and they were notorious for leaking and destroying perfectly good motherboards. Those days are over, and fortunately Apple used good quality batteries in their systems. These Tataran batteries, which are made in Israel, seem to hold up real nicely. I don't see any of... I gotta be honest, I've been working on older Macs for a very long time, and I have never seen one leak. Not once have I ever... And that's just me. Now, there are people that can say otherwise, but I can't. I've never seen one leak. Now, the ones that I have seen leak are the... by the way, are these alkaline or lithium? They're lithium batteries. Okay, the alkaline ones leak. So, yeah, let's talk about that for a second. If you had an alkaline battery, like one of those half AA batteries that they used to use in the Mac Plus and the SE, and the, I think they used them in the 128s and 512s. Those leak. These don't. Okay. Now, we've got the battery removed. Now we need to dress the leads and pass them through the board. To do that, we're going to be using a pair of needle nose pliers. And I have a pair of needle nose pliers somewhere. Hold on, just a second. Got it. Okay, so we need to dress the leads on our new battery so that they fit perfectly in the hole, and it looks a lot like this, so that it has a nice, perfect bend to it. So the first thing we're going to do is straighten our leads out, like so. And then we're going to place the battery in position, roughly where it'll be, and we're going to kind of guesstimate the lead spacing. So I'm going to go ahead and bend this lead here like that. The goal being to have the battery centered in place. Then I'm going to visualize where the lead is going to bend downward and place my pliers right in that rough estimated location. Can you see what I'm doing? Probably not. No, I'm doing this so you can't see it. So we've got our positive hole right here. Our negative hole is right about here. I'm going to just kind of look above. There are more scientific ways of doing this, but this is just what I'm doing because it works. And I'm going to just bend it nicely like that. Being careful not to let these leads touch. Obviously, the battery is live. Now I'm going to use this one as a guide, the old one. I can see that the spacing is pretty damn close. Making sure that the polarity is correct. Positive is always marked, and it's always the button end of the battery on these lithium cylinder batteries, and we're going to energize this battery this battery port for the first time in 30 some years. I'm going to have to do some more cleanup on that hole from the top side. So I'm going to get my soldering iron and my braid. Do a better job of that. We're going to, if the leads don't pass through smoothly, just take your soldering braid and just take off a little more solder. Okay. Clean it up real nice. Okay, that should do it. Remember, I'm not using any specialized tools. This is stuff that anyone who has any passing interest in vintage computers should have on hand. You'll never see me chopping the leads off the old battery. That's still not enough. It's not good enough. There's one trick that I find works really well, and that's to apply more solder and then clean it off. And what that does is it's like the capillary effect. Or capillary? Capillary. I like that. It's the capillary effect. There we go. That's a nice clean through hole. Alright. Making sure not to reverse this battery. Now this is interesting. They actually used the hole next to the one that they should have in the factory. That's kind of strange. Well, it is what it is. You'd think logic would tell you that they would have used this hole right here, but they used the one next to it. I don't know why they would do that. Now, you want to pull the battery close to the board like this. Pull it up and split or tug those apart like so that it can't fall out. Then we're going to take some fresh leaded solder, because it's so much easier to work with, and we're going to solder both leads. And once we get the solder nice and wet, we're going to drag the tip up the lead like that. And what that's going to do for us is give us a nice taper on the joint. Like that. And it's going to give us a nice professional quality joint. Then we're going to let it cool. We're done with our iron. Now would be a good time to clean the tip. I'm going to use a sponge because I need that tip to last. You don't need anything special, just a good old kitchen sponge that's been wrung dry. Go like that. Clean the tip right off. At work, I've got a really nice wire mesh ball. Those are preferred. They work really nicely. I don't have one for home though. I'm too cheap. So the battery replacement is done. We just need to trim the leads down as close to the board as humanly possible without going overboard. Remember, this machine has a metal pan under the board for shielding, and we don't want these leads to touch that pan at all. There we go. And that is how you replace an Apple II battery. Oh shit, it's backwards. Just kidding. It is not backwards. That would suck though. Oh man, the thing would be fried by now. So yeah, the real-time clock would be crispy. So we are done. Now we're going to put it back into the case. I get rid of these leads. So how much did this battery cost me? Well, surprisingly a lot. This did cost me a little bit of coin. I'll tell you how much. The battery by itself was not expensive. It was the shipping that really sucked. I'm going to put the part number in the video so you know what to buy. You can buy this from Newark or anywhere else that sells Tataran batteries. It's a TL592/P, 5902/P. It should be written right on the battery, in fact. TL5902. Now the /P, I believe, is the extended lead option, which allows you to mount it exactly as the factory battery went in. Because the other forms, this battery comes in multiple packages. One version of it has solder tabs mounted to it. That won't work for you because the spacing won't allow for it. You have to get the extended lead version. And it cost me $17 including shipping, I'll just tell you. It wasn't on the receipt. There's no price on the receipt. But it was $17. The battery was about, I think it was $7. The shipping is where they got me. It was almost $10 to ship it. So, if I were to buy them in bulk, if I were to buy a large quantity of these batteries, I could in theory resell them for a bit of a profit. So if anyone has any interest in that, I may consider doing so. I'll just buy a bunch of them and sell them at a profit. I mean, I'm not working for free. But if anyone has any interest in that, I might consider it. Because if the shipping would be the same whether I buy 1 or 50. So maybe I might do that. You know, I'll charge a slight discount, you know, a lower price, if you will. If there's enough interest in doing it, I just might do it. So I could be persuaded to do so. Now the back, there we go. Let's see here. Do I have this in right? I think I do. Yeah, it's all snapped in. And we've got a speaker lead doohickey here. And that just plugs in like that. Ooh, backwards. So we're going to hook our speaker back up again, and it's got a little clip here in the front that it goes into, but this one is kind of snapped off partially. So I'm probably not going to... I'm going to break the rest of it off. Just drop it in there. That's okay. It's not going to hurt the value or anything. As long as the piece isn't floating in there. Good. Okay. That goes in there. And we've got our front edge cover. Oh yeah, let's take another look at this board while it's out. I wanted to show you guys some of the things. So this connector right here is for your Apple IIe power supply. Remember, this is a first generation board, so it can be used in an Apple IIe as an upgrade option. So this connector is for the Apple IIe power supply. Here's the Apple IIGS power supply connector. Here is the Apple IIe keyboard connector and the numeric keypad connector. I believe the numeric keypad is for the last version of the IIe, which was released, I think, around the same time as the 2GS, if I'm not mistaken. Shortly after, maybe shortly before. It would have been before, but the second version of the 2E has a numeric keypad option. So yeah, that's what that is. All right. Okay, everything looks kosher, hunky-dory, and all that in the bag of chips. So we're going to put the power supply in. Okay. Connect the power supply connector. Put the cover on. I love these snap-together Apple products. It was so genius. Make them easy to work on, they said. It'll be fun, they said. And it is. Okay, let's see what happens. Option key. I think I might have hit it too late. Yep. Control panel. Let's take a look at the date and time. Month. Oh. Today is 5/24, 5/16. It is now background medium blue. I'm gonna go with orange. No. Let's see. Whoa, that's awful. Black. Border medium blue. Let's go black on. That's what pink is, huh? Black on black. Text. Blue, purple. Orange. Okay. Save. Turn. Quit. Now, the final test. Will it survive a power cycle? Here we go. Yep. We're good. It worked.